my hypothesis is that demand gen channels follow the technology adoption lifecycle. The innovators, the early adopters, get the majority of the rewards, just like they do when adopting a new technology. The only difference is that as more and more people make it to the channel, it becomes obviously more crowded. As the information becomes more prevalent, it becomes easier to do, which brings even more people. And there's this kind of tipping point where there's enough information, there's enough technology to support the process, there's enough awareness that, hey, this channel works, that it kind of tips into, I wouldn't say not profitable, but not the most amazing channel anymore. And for me, 2018 was when cold email kind of tipped from like this incredible thing that felt like wielding magic to just this like uphill struggle for us. I mean, we're coming
Yeah.
from like 2012, 2013, you could send just the crappiest of crappy emails and get a 10 to 20% reply rate, no problem.
Yeah.
And so like that to me was like, those were the innovator days. And now we're from a cold email perspective, I think we're kind of in the late majority laggards days. And I think what I'm seeing or hearing you describe with the Facebook group feels like it's following that talc curve where, you had great benefits from it. It made a ton of work. It made a ton of business for you when nobody else was doing it. But as more and more people got there, it became more saturated, harder to do. And so you have the opportunity of like, do I step up and invest more in this channel, or am I okay with the table stakes going up? It just went from like 1 to no limit to like 30-60, and like those blinds are expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. I should definitely check out that book as well. It sounds really interesting. But yeah, that's really what happens. And I think the business model could have been better to begin with. And I think that just because the channel was working so good and we came in at the right time, it kind of carried maybe a little bit of a broken business model. Because I could have just I could have just, in theory, picked a different acquisition channel if the Facebook group wasn't working as well anymore. I just saw it as getting harder and harder to sell our program, and conversion rates, closing rates were down. Really, like the main problem looking back was that we just didn't have a great LTV to CAC ratio, because we would sell a $10,000 program, and that was like the upper limit. Like we started at 6K, and then we would raise it over time after we got more and more like testimonials and clients and whatnot. But 10K was really the upper limit because most of our clients were like entrepreneurs making under 10K a month, right? So 10K was all we would sell, and we never really figured out retention or MRR. Like we did create a mastermind on the end, but we had very few takers. And maybe like there's probably a way to figure it out, but we just didn't. So basically, like, as acquisition got more expensive, we started running Facebook ads, and then it would cost us like $3,000-4,000 to get a client who was just going to pay 10K, right? And then we still have to pay like a closer fee and setter on top of that. So basically just the numbers didn't work out because mainly because I didn't have retention. Like I think it felt like I was on a hamster wheel, right? Of like, we had to sell so much every month just to cover our burn rate. And then it's like, even after a great month, well, next business, we start from zero. And what I realized is like what we were teaching people, we were teaching them a channel like cold email to start this new business of theirs. But most people wanted to learn it, but they didn't want to master it, right? I think like that coaching education model works well if you have that customer journey where after they solve one problem, you're going to help them with the next problem and the next problem. And ideally, you're helping them on like a business journey of like 1 to 3 years or something, right? But for us, it's like most of our market wasn't like trying to master what we were teaching. They just wanted to, get something set up and then, move on and buy other stuff, right? So that's kind of what I realized looking back on it. But yeah, it was just definitely the hamster wheel of acquisition, and like always felt like we were taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And then we started getting a lot of people asking us for done for you. And then we just took on a few clients for it to kind of like explore that direction. And it just went surprisingly well. And then I realized, oh, great. Now we have recurring revenue, 4 to 5K a month from every client, and retention. So that was pretty much the switch.